Hello, everybody. Sorry for running a little bit late today. Finished up work later than I thought. So, for today, our topic is going to be how to get brand deals. And the reason why this topic came up is because a BMW YouTube channel that I watched quite a bit called Beamer Barn, he posted a video a little while ago saying one of the reasons why he hasn't been posting in a long time is because he's been doing other side projects, and it's because he has to pay the bills. But basically, I know that some people here are looking to start YouTube or start their own car content, whether it be on Instagram, TikTok, you name it. And what I hope to do is to help people do kind of something similar to what I'm doing. I still have my regular 9-to-5 job, but when it comes to this, hopefully I can share some business insight, and really treating it like a business will help extend your longevity in this field. And if this is something that you plan to do long term, then at least doing some of these things and picking up these habits will help you extend your car content creating career. And so, the whole goal of this is, to make money through one of our passions, which is cars, whether it be doing DIYs, reviews, vlogging, anything in that realm. We should be looking at this to make some money to an extent. Of course, your core beliefs should always be taking care of the audience. If you can help your audience get a discount, but by reviewing a product, by installing a product, you're helping them save money because you've already purchased the item. So they're going to know whether or not it's good or bad. A review doesn't always have to be a glowing review saying that an item is perfect or that it's something that you must buy. There have been things that I've bought, like the BMS turbo inlet pipe. I liked it because it was a single metal piece. However, there was some fit and finishes of that part that wasn't perfect. So I sent it back to BMS. I told them, some things that needed to be fixed. And I was at a point where I couldn't wait for the redesigned product to come back out. So I went with MST. But BMS has since sold several of those products. And so sometimes just making a review of saying, right now isn't the best time to buy this product, but I'm going to send it back. They're probably going to do some more R&D. And then when they come out with the second iteration, it's going to be good. So in that respect, you're helping your audience to not buy that or not make that same mistake. So it doesn't always have to be, oh, I bought this thing or I got this thing sponsored and it's fantastic. Just tell your honest review on it. And then also, if you're doing DIYs, a big part of the financial hardship of somebody installing a part on their car is the installation aspect of it. And if they're already strapped for cash when it comes to buying the part and then they have to install it, that might just be one more factor that leads to them not buying. So if you're able to show them how they can easily install that part, then they can say, okay, well, I have enough money for the part and, I have that tool. Yeah, I can do this job. So in that respect, you don't have to think of it as you're always trying to make a sale, but you should be compensated for your time, energy, effort, and insight on that product, on that installation, whatever it is. Because even if there are a ton of coilover installations, for example, you probably have some insight to your specific model, your specific trim, that is going to help somebody who has that same specific trim or model. So never get discouraged that, oh, somebody already made a video, I shouldn't make it. No, still make it, because somebody who's looking to do that installation is not just looking at the person with a 1 million viewed video, but they're also going to look at all the other ones that match their trims, including yours. I can't tell you how many times I was looking to do a DIY or a review on a part. And yes, of course, I started at the big ones at the top, but I kept digging and digging to see if this is something that's really worth my time. And lo and behold, I'm at a channel that has like 37 subscribers and the view has like only a couple hundred views. Those videos were all helpful in my purchase making decision. So never get discouraged. I encourage everybody, if this is something that you want to do, go ahead and make the content. And it doesn't always have to be like the big brands like KW or Wheels. Although these are the things that most people look to, these things are very expensive. And when you look at the customer base on who's probably watching YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, it's probably going in a decreasing age group in that for the platforms that I mentioned. YouTube being the oldest, Instagram probably being a little bit younger, and TikTok being the youngest. So on average, these people probably don't have a lot of money to spend on these type of parts because they're not making that much. And then even if you are introducing this to people who are older, they probably have families, they probably have mortgage or rent that they have to pay for, so they have other obligations. So when it comes to people who are really enthusiastic about cars, we're hitting them at a time in their life where money is a big concern to them. So although it would be nice to get the big sponsorship, the big endorsements, the big names, the big commissions from like a KW, a BBS, that might not always be the most realistic thing. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't get these parts. Maybe you could get something from like your local shop, and then if they have a partnership with you, you can make commissions that way. So you may not get something directly with these manufacturers, but maybe the distributor of these parts, you can work out a deal. I would say your best bet is to go with like the routine maintenance things like charge pipes, brakes. Those are the things that always break or are heavy use items. So if there's a way that you could recommend, say, for example, like a VRSF charge pipe, they do commissions. And so you can make a commission off of that. You do the installation and the price for the customer doesn't change. They are going to get the same price for that part. However, you're the one who helped them with the installation. You're the one who helped them with the review. So you secured that sale. Therefore, you should be compensated for your time and effort. Same thing with brakes. When it comes to brakes, you don't have to sell necessarily a big brake kit or promote a big brake kit. Oftentimes for street cars, simple things like good pads and rotors are going to be sufficient. Big brake kits are only really good for tracks where you have frequent stop and go and you want to promote consistent braking. But in a daily driven car, you don't really have that, or you don't really run into kind of that cap and heat where it really becomes an issue. Most of the times, just good brakes and rotors, pads and rotors are going to be good enough. And then once you've built that strong foundation, you can build onto other things that are like add-ons. So take, for example, the Mosselmann oil thermostat. This is an add-on if you're already showing somebody how to replace the oil cooler and oil filter housing gasket, as well as the oil lines in the front if you have a newer N55 engine. So somebody who's already looking to upgrade, somebody who's already looking to repair that gasket, replace that gasket, maybe while they're there, they would want to upgrade their cooling system. It's not going to be 100%, but for sure that person needs to upgrade the gasket. So they're already watching your video. And then by you saying, hey, this is a good thing to do while you're here, and here's why. Or you could always flip the script and say, hey, you know what, I thought this was going to be a good upgrade while I was here, but turns out for my application, it wasn't, and here's why. Because that person who's doing the upgrade is, no matter where they are in their line of budget, they're always going to think, wow, this is a pretty involved job. How can I not do this as frequently next time? How can I prevent this from happening again? And if you can sell them on the idea that this add-on piece will solve that problem for them, then that's a good thing. So anything that's like an add-on. So the gasket is the primary reason. The oil thermostat is the add-on. Same thing with the anti-gravity battery that we have over here. Yes, somebody does need to replace their battery. So it's not something that they should replace just because, maybe only if they track their car. But if there's somebody who doesn't code their own battery and they want to save money, if they want to save weight, this is a good upgrade. Now, if somebody's going to upgrade their battery anyways, and if your video pops up in their feed, they know that they can still follow the steps in your video because it's completely applicable to them. The only thing that's different is the battery that they put in, because they're going to still drop in a battery. They're going to still have to code it. So they're going to follow the steps in your video. They're just going to ignore the add-on portion of it. However, you link both the OEM battery and the add-on, the upgraded version of that. And I would say when it comes to, like parts like this, it's good that we can get these deals. However, when we're just starting out, it's hard to get these deals. And so never forget on how you're going to do the job, which is by using tools. So a lot of you know that I'm partnered up with Tekton. And so like their torque wrenches, their socket sets, the gear wrench ratcheting wrenches are really good. And the Harbor Freight jack and jack stands are a good bang for your money. So these are a little bit easier to procure a deal on. Like say, for example, Harbor Freight. When I reached out to them, I said, hey, you know, would you be willing to send me a jack? And I can make a video on it. I would feature it in all my videos. And they know that you don't necessarily have to make a dedicated video. Just the exposure of the jack in the video is worthwhile to them. So they said yes. Tekton was something very similar, where I made a segment in my video that said, these tools are very helpful in these situations. And then I highlighted those tools in those helpful situations. So that's how I got the deal with Tekton. Gear wrench, I just like the ratcheting wrenches. I don't have a deal with them. But essentially, don't just seek out the brands that are going on your car. So not just the car parts, but also the process in which you put these things on your cars. And this can be a profitable thing where you could get things like on a recurring basis. Maybe they have you on retainer. It's probably more likely that you would get a reoccurring deal with these tool companies because they probably don't only sell sockets, but wrenches, bit drivers, different size of sockets, all of those things that you would use in your videos. However, there's only so many times that you're going to put on a charge pipe, and VRSF only sells a limited amount of things for your specific chassis. So you're probably only going to be doing 3 brand deals at most with them for your car. And same thing with Mosselmann is they only have the oil cooler. So you're only going to you're like a one-off, and you'd always would have to hunt for the next thing. And you never want to be in a situation where you're always hunting for deals. Having something like a tool company give you something on a recurring basis not only gives you content, but income, and then also potential commissions on top of that. So that's how you could be sustainable as well. And one of the key things is don't get tied up with, when it comes to modifying your car, don't just look for suspension wheels because it's fancy or it's a high commission. The best thing to do when it comes to making car content is, what does your car actually need first? And then once you're done with all of the essentials, then you start going into the accessories. Like, for example, one of my friend's cars that I'm helping on right now, their thrust arm is completely shot. The ball joint is completely shot. And so this is something that I will make a video on for them. But if they wanted to make their own content, I would say this is one of the things that you should do, because you already have to do it. You're going to have to spend money on it anyways, versus doing something like, say, a diffuser and exhaust, which you do not need. If money is of concern, take care of the thing that you need to. Let this make money and propel you to your next modification. And so just going around your car, inspecting it. So, you know, the control arm you can see here, you can see this little damage here that we have on the tires. And that would be another thing, like what wheels and tires fit on your car. On the 3 Series and 4 Series, it's not that big of a deal. But with the 2 Series, if you do not want to run spacers, there's only a limited number of fitments that you can get. And so if you're able to serve your community in that way, then again, you will be rewarded for your time and effort at no additional cost to them. You're providing a service to them. Don't think of it as you always have to give them something physical. Your time, effort, knowledge, and the video that you're producing for them, giving them insight, is in and of itself a service that is worthy of being compensated. And then, of course, when you're doing the jobs, make sure to always get the finishing shot. Sometimes like it's tough when you're doing, say, something like coilovers where it might take long, but always take those beauty shots at the end. Always pause yourself, force yourself to stop and take the beauty shots, because honestly, this is the stuff that the brands really care about. This is the marketing material that they put on their website. And if they see value in what you have for them on a recurring basis, then they will reach out to you. They will bring you back on for another event or another project. So always stop for the after shots, the beauty shots, the highlights of it. You may not always use these shots in your final DIY or production video, but at least you have it for future reference. You have it for B-roll. And if they say, oh, do you have any other beauty shots that you took? Or do you have anything that just highlights this part for a little bit? You at least have that. So that's an additional service that you're providing to the brand. So never forget to take your beauty shots. That's one of the things that I do regret doing or not doing in the very beginning is, okay, I understand that I'm tired. I just want to hurry up and finish the project. But like the coilovers, it's done when you put on the wheels and you lower the car, but you got to stop here. Once you've come to the point where you're about to put on the wheel, that's when you want to stop. When you've tightened down the charge pipe, the silicone coupler to the two ends, that's when you want to take your beauty shots. So never forget, beauty shots are what kind of sell you to the company as a whole. Now, some of the things to look for. So those are all the things that you do beforehand, because no company is really going to bring you on until you have a portfolio for them to work with, for them to understand what they can expect from you. So those are all the things that you'll need to do before you actually start seeking brand deals. But once you have that portfolio, some things that you can look for in companies is if you just go to the company's website and if they have an affiliate program there. They're probably also open to working with creators. So not just giving you a commission if you make a sale, but potentially giving you a free part in exchange for your video, and you get the commissions on top of it. So typically, companies that have an affiliate program are also very likely to give out brand deals for creators. And if you are in this space, you're probably also watching other creator. So if a brand has reached out to that creator to make a video, they're also likely to reach out to other creators. And this one might take a little bit more research. However, what you could do is, say, for example, you look at creator A and they have 100,000 subscribers, and then you look at creator B and they have like 500. Then you know that you're going to have to look for something in common between those two. Do they both make high quality videos? Do they both do vlogging? Does one do a more in-depth tutorial? So you're going to have to figure that out, versus do they only work with certain creators at a certain subscriber or followership number? And to a certain extent, a lot of companies will put that up as a barrier to deter people from, inquiring all the time. But if you have high quality content, you have a consistent body of work, you have, I would say at least 20 videos to show, and something that you can make in a concise package for them, they're usually willing to forego that number of sponsors, followers, whatever, because they know that they can work with you. They know that they're a popular enough company that if they take your content, put it on their website, shared it on their socials, that they can get something going, because they don't have the time to record and install or beauty shots as we would. And then also you're going to want to look for if they have open applications. Some companies just say, hey, if you want to be part of a brand ambassador, if you want to be an affiliate, apply here, tell us why you deserve to be a partner with us. You're going to want to look for these things. It's usually in the contact page or about us. Sometimes they do have an affiliate area on their website, so you can just do like Control F and then just search those terms in order to find out all three of these things. So these first three, they're usually pretty open on the website. Like companies like Gear Wrench on their website, if you look, they say, oh, these are our partners, and they're all like YouTube people. And so that's how you can kind of look at who they've sponsored before. Other things that you're going to want to look for outside of the website is it a budget brand? Is it a good value for the customer? So like VRSF would be a good one. If you look at like Apex Wheels, that's another one. It's like the dollar amount might be high, but are they getting what is perceived to be more than what they're putting in? Especially when you compare it to the competition. Like, who is the big name brand of that thing? And then is the brand that you're trying to work with an emerging brand or a budget brand that's offering great value to the customer? Both of those things you're going to want to look for, because in both of those cases, because they're working with a tighter budget, because they're just starting out, they probably don't have as much of a big space on social. So this is where you can come in and be their marketing arm, because they're trying to do everything in-house. But if you say, hey, you know, in exchange for this part that might be like a couple $100, maybe even 1,000, you'll advertise for them and they'll work something out with you. Because when it comes to marketing is very expensive. So if they can give you a free part, which is a write-off for them, so it's a tax benefit to them. So even though they give you this part that's like $200, it probably only costs them $50 to make, but they're going to write it off as $200. So technically they lost $150, but they get a $200 write-off on their taxes. So that's a net $50 for them. If that math works out for you. It's just taxes are kind of a complicated thing. But all I'm saying is, because their cost is $150, they get a write-off for $200, they get net $50. So companies also look at that as well. Is what this person is going to do for us, is it worth that dollar amount of that part or these parts that we're going to give them? And are they reliable enough to deliver this content in a timely manner? And some brands will have you sign contracts for deals. Some of them, it's just like a gentleman's agreement where you just say, yes, I will do it. I believe I've only had to sign like maybe 3 contracts in all of the brand deals that I've ever had. Most of it is they know that I'm going to make the content anyway, so they just say, okay, just make it on your own time, and they trust that I'll make it in a timely manner. If I can't, I usually let them know. I say, hey, something's come up. I did get the part. It looks good. I will install it, but I do have a couple things that is tying me up right now, so I will get to it. But just in case you're wondering, I didn't forget. So communication with the brand is going to be key. Just make sure that if you can't deliver it in a timely fashion, that you let them know. And if you guys want, I would say go ahead and screenshot this. This is my general email that I send to the brands. And this is not necessarily just for email, but how I also approach DMs to companies. And I usually say, hi, I was wondering if you were open to working with creators. I tell them my platform, so the cars that I work on, my stats on all of the platforms that I'm active on. And then I juice it up a little bit, right? So I say, in terms of F22 content on YouTube, my content dominates that space with mostly DIY and part review videos, because I'm kind of alone in the space right now. So, you just have to dress up the wording a little bit. And then I would say, if you're open to it, I would like to feature this thing on the M235i, but it could also change to the F30. And then I give them a little package. I say, I can create a couple of short form videos and long form videos. And of course, I'm stitching together things that are relevant. So I think this stuff is, say, for example, I think these are like the wheel stud conversion kit. So all of this stuff has to do with the wheel stud conversion, so it's consistent, because it shows that I made a campaign with this one product. And of course, I picked the videos that are ranking the highest, which some of them have hundreds of thousands on the shorts to 1 million. And then the full length video only has a couple thousand. But then that's why the full length video is a little lower, because I want to shock them with the 1 million view video first. So give them, present yourself in a professional manner. Tell them your value, and then say, hey, this is what I can do for you. I've already done it before, so this is what you can expect. So if you guys want, go ahead and screenshot this, and I'll open it up for Q&A right now. And then I'll switch to the normal screen so that it's easier to see the questions. But I just also wanted to give you guys a heads up is, you guys have been here with me from the beginning that I started doing live streams. And in order to kind of grow the brand, I will probably start running like 30-second ads just before the Q&A section going forward. It probably might not come until like March, but in order to, try to keep everything as cost effective as possible, I'll probably open up to one ad for now. But then I hope what this will do is, one of the things that I have with the tool company that I'm branded with is, I want to eventually do like giveaways, like monthly giveaways, but financially it's probably going to start like quarterly giveaways. And so by me running ads, it will help me, or it will allow me to do this. Also, Rex Racing Wheels, I'll probably start working out a deal with them in the near future. So if you guys want to jump on that group buy, just let me know. You guys can DM me on Instagram at VroomTuber if it's something that you guys are interested in. It's just that fitment, when it comes to wheels for the 2 Series, is so hard to find. It seems like nobody really wants to do it, but at least with them, they're willing to make a set of wheels in whatever configuration that we pick. So that's why I'm kind of leaning on them right now. So if you want to be part of that, I mean, I might be able to work something out if all of us in the group are of significant number and we're all creatives. Then that helps with what I was saying before, is we would be the marketing arm for that company. Therefore, they would seek value in what we do. Therefore, we would get compensated in a bigger discount for said wheel. So that takes care of the housekeeping for us. And let's just see here. Raggy D is saying yes. Car Snob says yes, you're always here for me, man. Flan Morrison said yes. All right, I hope it seems like you guys came in early too. Sorry to keep you guys from waiting as well. And Flan Moore is here. Thank you for the super chat. Let me move that up there. Move this down. Actually, let me just switch over. If you guys need this page back again, just let me know in the comments. So let me jump to the Q&A section where I'll pull this back up here. And it seems like this stuff is always, there we go. So Flan Morrison, thank you again for the super chat. Hey man, your videos have helped me a lot working on my 2015 M235i. We're twins. Thanks for all your work and effort. I know it was a lot of sweat and tears to get where you're at. Grab a couple of beers on me. Thank you so much. I will. Yeah, actually haven't drank in a few years. I actually, but I'll spend it on I like milk tea, or right now like hot tea. So thank you for that. I appreciate it, and I hope that all the videos that come out in the future continue to help you. And I hope that you're enjoying your M235i as much as I am. Texas Tags, thanks for coming in. Makes sense on the consumable items, that way it can be reoccurring. Yep. Yeah, exactly. And some of the stuff, like, don't feel like you have to reach out to like big brands. Like, I know that a lot of people are popular with like FCP Euro because of the warranty exchange. Although they did a little bit of a changing, they don't give you necessarily your money back anymore. They give you store credit. Most of this stuff, especially when you're starting out, like if somebody really wants to buy from FCP Euro, they'll go and buy it. But what you can do is post a link to Amazon. Now, Amazon will start paying out their affiliates almost right away. However, there's a bit of a delay. So we're about to approach March right now. So say, for example, you started doing your affiliate program with Amazon this year. In March, you would receive your January commissions. They usually let a month pass because of the 30-day return window. So yes, you in Amazon, you can start earning commissions right away, as opposed to YouTube. You have to meet the 4,000 watch hours and the 1,000 subscribers. There is a delay because they allow a month to pass to allow for the returns. And then if there have been no returns, you get the full commission. Otherwise, you get a decrease in the commissions. Flan Morrison, by the way, is this your full-time gig, or are you working a tech job on top of cranking out YouTube videos? Well, I do personal finance. I'm actually in my office right now. So I was in Fremont, where before I used to have like the talking head video, where I used to have like the BMW emblem in the back and then a couple of neon lights. That was my Fremont office. And then we downsized. So we're all here in San Jose now, and I'm actually sharing this office. So that's why I hadn't posted videos like that in a while. And you know, I agreed to, in exchange for being able to like have like my studio equipment here, I said, you know, we don't really have somebody who does finance videos on YouTube. I could do a couple of those if you guys don't mind that I do my live streams here like this. And so like I have a separate YouTube channel for like making finance stuff that's kind of like for client Q&A, common questions, stuff like that. But they're nothing like this. They're usually like 1 minute quick hitters, like, you know, like what type of life insurance is the best for this situation? You know, how is certain types of money or income taxed? So I still do that. My channel isn't big enough for me to do this full time yet. Maybe one day. Nappington. Carsnob, what are you referring to? Jabwari. Bro, I did the clutch delay valve delete. I messed up putting the little rubber boot back on the line. Okay. It kept not sealing good. Took forever to get the clutch bleed. Oh, okay. Was putting in air. Yeah, rubber boot back on the line. The thing with the power bleeder is you have to make sure that it's just always straight. Like, if I know it's hard because you're limited on the amount of space that you have, but if you can try to keep it as upright as possible when you're pumping, because if it's tilted to one side or the other, that can let in air. And then, yeah, also the rubber boot thing. I'm sorry to hear that, but good thing that you figured it out. And I hope that at least now it's taken care of. Gonna build my Raggedy channel to get a sponsor one day. You will. Come on, man. You will. You know, if you want, just copy and paste my my script and then just replace the wording for, you know, your car and your channel, and you'll get it. I believe that everybody here can get their own brand deal. And like I said before, is even if the video's already been made before, like Mosselman, I think only Brian over at Keys Motorsports is the only one to do the Mosselman oil thermostat with the oil filter housing gasket all in one go. In at least that I've seen, that's in as detailed as the video that I made. And like, that's the good thing. Like, when I saw Brian's video, I said, this is a really good video. How can I improve upon it? And then I said, okay, there are a couple of shots that he got that I was like, it would have been nice to have that shot as a wide angle, or it would have been nice to have that shot as a close-up. So I know that somebody else who's going to do this job is going to look to his video, and they're going to see his angle or his perspective on that shot. I want to give a contrasting view, because somebody who's really looking to do this job is going to watch my video too. So that's how I can serve them, is I know that they're going to watch his, so I don't want to get the same exact angle or viewpoint as him. I'm going to get something different to give the person a more 3D look into things. And so that's how I approach my video. But I also said Brian did his more like of a vlog style. And I said, that's good, but it's kind of long. Can I do it not a vlog style, more like a voiceover, and make it a little bit shorter? Again, I don't want my video necessarily to be better than his. I want my video to piggyback off of his, because so long as his video is popular, my video will be popular. So always look at it from that perspective, is never get discouraged with how many people are in the space. You just want to piggyback off of their success, and that will help you step off to have more success for yourself. AM, I have a BMW 335 Xi, same engine. I followed your content, great videos, love to watch again and again, and forward to my friends too. Well, I'm happy that they help. I'm glad to hear that. If you're forwarding to them, then I'm assuming that I did a good enough job and at least explaining the things. And so I hope that you love your xDrive. I'm only now just getting used to xDrive cars because of my friends. There is a little bit of work in them, but I will say this. When it comes to xDrive, when I lift up his car, I was instantly jealous the moment I lifted up his car, because the non-xDrive cars, you have to really look for that center jack point in the front. You xDrive people get that nice, it's so prominent, that metal plate. And it's huge too. It's not just like, oh, that little dot that you got to kind of look at when you're trying to jack up the car. That thing is super prominent, and it's outside of that fabric material, the under panel. It's just a metal piece. You put your jack on that, and that's it. I am jealous of the xDrive for that one aspect. I don't know why they couldn't do that for the rear-wheel drive people. US Vigim 2016 M235i 6-speed manual transmission. Okay, so you got a car that's newer than mine. All right, and the manual transmission, right on. You did the clutch delay valve delete. The first 20 minutes was easy until I messed up. That rubber boot that goes on the end of the line is a pain. I didn't realize you need to push it down so it goes over the tip. Yeah, that one is it can be challenging, especially if you don't have that much clearance and if you're working in that tight area. That's why I recommended just detaching that. I guess it's like the bracket that holds the line in, because that way it gives you a little bit more working space. But yeah, you're just working in a tight area. But I'm glad that the first 20 minutes were okay. Don't be too hard on yourself. Things happen. I mean, when I'm recording, there's a lot of things that go wrong that I just don't put in the video. I try to highlight it in the voiceover, but there are a lot of things that I just don't pay attention to, because I'm also trying to pay attention to the camera settings and the angle and all those things. I mess up too all the time. It just happens. So it's just part of the process. Don't be too hard on yourself. Oop. Power bleeder worked great for brakes, but was a pain for the clutch. Had a dead pedal for hours and finally used old school bleed with a one-man bottle and pump. Okay, yeah, a lot of people said that too, I think in the comments. So it's good that you had a backup plan, just in case the power bleeder doesn't work. So if anybody who's looking to do this job, it's just you, if I'm not mistaken, oh no, you did it one solo. So how did you do it? Did you like pump it by yourself and then you put something heavy on the pedal to make sure air doesn't pop back up, and then you went down, you know, capped off the bottle and then tighten it down? Is that how you did it? Don't worry about it. But yeah, let me know. Did you just put something on the pedal after you had it down? Car stop. Oh no, I replaced my BRZ axle nut. I only made a video because not that many of vids on it. Yes, that's perfect. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you, that's also a good thing. In YouTube land, people usually think that, oh, nobody's made a video on this, I'm going to be like the first one, or there's not much. Like, that is usually the golden ticket that skyrockets you, especially if you make the video in in good detail. You have good angles. You voiced the walkthrough of it really good. And so what you did was perfect. You found a golden nugget that not a lot of people have touched on. That's what we really want overall. However, I think people get discouraged when it's not that case. And it shouldn't be, especially with car stuff. It's not like, I would say like maybe like a cooking tutorial where you're looking for a certain recipe. It's not like where you're looking for a specific phone review that has a time frame. Like nobody is looking at a phone review from 3 years ago, but somebody is probably still looking up how to do an exhaust install on an E36, right? A car that is approaching 30 years of age, somebody is probably still looking up a DIY video on how to do that exhaust install. And if you're able to make that video with a camera from current times, your quality is going to be higher. And by you watching the previous videos, you're going to have all of that insight plus your own to condense and summarize into your video. So versus them having to watch 10 videos to get 10 different points, you have all 10 points in your one video. Yep, and we need to fill the content gaps. Exactly. That's exactly what I was touching on. Hi, Zamia. Hope you're doing well. US Vidjum, just waiting on the MST Turbo Inlet, and my Fritz Ramos mods will be done for a while. Order. Oh my goodness, it is back ordered. That's over a month already that's been back ordered. Oh my goodness. Well, the good thing about the turbo inlet pipe is, unless it's severely cracked, is because the N55 is so like compact, especially in that area. It kind of holds itself. I think in the N20 we ran it like that for a while, like it was cracked off the flange from the turbo. We got to check engine light, and then as soon as we did the install, it went. Like the car still runs, you just have a slight vacuum leak and you're not bringing in 100% filtered air. So I hope your turbo inlet pipe isn't that bad. Stu Moo, hey man, quick question for you. I drive a 2016 M2 6-speed manual transmission, and I've noticed shifting from second to third under high RPMs can sometimes feel crunchy, ticky. Third to second downshifts does this too. How can I fix this? Car has 30K. I never really encountered an issue upshifting from second to third. I can get an issue from going from third to second, and since doing the clutch delay valve delete, it has pretty much solved that problems. If you also have issues like when you're on like slow inclines, like driveways, like if you have a lip and you're really trying to angle the car into the driveway, if you notice that, and if you also notice that really like notchiness in first gear when you're just like at a stoplight and you try to put it into first just from like a complete stop, the clutch delay valve in my case helped out with all those. I just don't know about the upshift from second to third. Nope, not off topic at all. Actually, you benefited from other people bringing up the clutch delay valve delete. So if you plan to do this, check out their comments, especially US Vidjum, and how he stated that he did the alternative bleed method if you don't have a power bleeder or if your power bleeder gives you problems. And also it seems that that rubber cap that goes on the clutch line, make sure that it fully pops in. It should kind of like give you like a little snap, and it should run right up against the line. So pay attention to those two things, because it seems like that is a common issue. So not off topic at all. US Vidjum, clutch bleed. Ended up barely opening the bleed valve, okay, and pumping the brakes until no bubbles, so brake line, and then closed. May redo with a second person to be sure. It feels good. Okay. So Stu, I would say pay close attention to this comment right here. If you plan to do the clutch delay valve delete, and take these tips just in case your power bleeder doesn't work as intended. This is some good insight right here from US Vigim. And thank you for sharing that. Sin Lim, 2012 X3 35i. Been watching your videos for years and love the tutorials for DIY. Do you think it's too late to make mods for the age and about 150,000 miles like MHD Stage 1 with VRSF intercooler? I don't. Like the X model of cars, not the X Drive, but like the X model of cars, like there's not as much content on there as I thought that there would be. So you're probably going to hit that golden nugget. Especially if there's nobody who's made those mod like installs before. It's never too late. Because as the cars age, like the good thing is, like if you get an expensive car or a relatively expensive car, and then your videos don't get a lot of views for the installs. The reason why is because like somebody who gets a G80 M3 competition, if you do a DIY video on that, you're probably not going to get a lot of views right now. And that's because that car is relatively expensive. And the people who can afford to get that car are not doing the jobs themselves. They're sending it out to a shop to do it. The vast majority of people. However, as I was saying, like with the E36, as that car ages, it becomes more affordable. As time goes on, your videos, maybe they start like this for the views, but eventually they'll go up because it becomes more affordable. And for the people who can't afford the install anyways, they're going to be the ones to do the install. So 2012, it's 13, sorry, not 13, only 11 years because we're only in 2023. No, there's people who still make videos on the E46. So if they can make that, and even the E36, if you look at Donut Media, look at how recently in terms of the car's production that they made their video on the E36, and look at how many views they got. I'm not saying that it's hard because they do a lot of marketing themselves. Like a lot of the people on their team have big influences. One of the guys from there who has the Miata, he actually came from ECS. So they have a huge pedigree behind them. And then they also pay a lot in marketing. That's why they get a lot of views. But I'm just saying is some of those views, a good portion of them are genuine. So if E46, E36 stuff still gets views, you can get views too. And if you do, honestly, my dad has been having a little bit of a hard time with the 328. And so I've been thinking if I wanted to get him, he likes, so before we had the 328, he would drive around our CRV for a long time. And then when I got the F30, I ended up giving the CRV to one of my aunts. But my dad does like the higher cars. And so I've been thinking if I should get him like an X3 or an X1, just thinking about it. And so if you made these videos, I would appreciate it because I would be on the benefiting end of that. US Vigim, supposed to ship Friday. All right, well, the sooner the better. They better get on that because that is too long. I mean, I guess like if production was slow and then import export was a hiccup, it seems a long time though, like a month. Ooh. Well, I hope it gets to you soon, and then you have nothing to worry about. That thing is pretty solid. And the install is easy. That's why I really recommend MST. Like I could go with another brand and just recommend something else, maybe something else that would give me a higher commission. But that's one of the other things too, is when you're recommending products, is if you've tried something else and then you know that something is better, I would say stick to that, because when you're doing DIY videos, it's not just, oh, the part is cheap, but is the part easy to install? Because a part might be cheaper, but it's hard to install. If the purchaser doesn't have the right tools, the right mechanical know-how, they're going to return the part. You're going to lose that commission anyways. Oftentimes, I found that people are willing to spend a little bit more money as long as the install is pretty straightforward. Because the last thing that you want somebody to do is to get a cheap part, try to install it, they can't install it, then they have to take it to the shop anyways. So they're really out of money, and then that whole process would upset them, and then they may not listen to your recommendation again. So that's why I recommend MST, because I know that the installation is super easy, especially with that turbo inlet pipe being, it's such, that 10 millimeter is, just make sure you have extensions and a wobble. If you want to torque it down to spec, get a crow's foot. Otherwise you go hand tight. I think it's only like 20 something Newton meters for that. So you don't need a crow's foot, but you probably would benefit from like a couple of extensions, a different lengths of sockets in order to get that 10 millimeter nut, 10 millimeter nut back on. Getting it off isn't a problem, especially if it's broke. So just a heads up. Shane, I just bought a 2014 M235i. I have intakes and downpipes. What should I do next? I feel like I should do some maintenance. Intakes and downpipes. It seems like you're probably about to run into stage 2 soon. So I would say if you haven't already, looked into your intercooler, your plugs and coils. In that line of what you have already, if you plan to tune it, those are the next couple of things that would give you issue. And then if you do run a tune, depending on who you go with, make sure to switch out to the appropriate oil for that tune. US Vision. Added ECS clutch stop. All right. May help stew moo, or maybe clutch delay, valve delete. Yes, both of those could. Yeah, and thank you for sharing that. So stew moo, you were not off topic. You were very on topic, which is perfect timing here. No notchiness in first, no grinding either, just shifting feel. I'm changing to red line transmission fluid this weekend. Thanks for the advice. Okay. Yeah, another thing too is when you get your old fluid out, if there's a way that you could, like maybe midstream as it's draining, get like a clean plastic cup. And if you can't get a clear one, it's fine. Any color will do. If it's not see-through, it's not that big of a deal. But if you can get a magnet and then like run it around the cup, and then if you're able to pull something out, then you know that something's going on. Hopefully not, but that's something that you might want to do with your fluid as well. Oh, US Vision. Sorry, not pumping brakes, pumping clutch. Okay, that's what I thought. I was surprised when you said it. So I was like, oh, I didn't know that. Okay, thank you for clarifying. So Mia, my parents finally accepted me as lesbian. I'm so happy. Okay, hey, you are who you are, and I'm happy that your parents have come around to that. So I'm happy for you. Good. Yeah. I mean, parents generally accept their kids for who they are, right? Let you back inside and you can focus on your car goals. Good. Yep. That other stuff, car goals can definitely wait on top of the other stuff. So I'm happy that you took care of that the big stuff is taken care of. I hope it's a small hurdle in your journey of life, and it'll just make you your relationship and your parents all the better. I mean, my relationship with my parents was rough as well, but I found that when you go through rough things with people and you make it out on the other side, it makes your relationship better. It sucks as you're going through it, But if you're able to come to a better understanding with one another when you're on the opposite side, then usually it makes for a better bond down the line. So I hope that's the case for you. US Vision. The way the brake reservoir is positioned, it is possible to introduce air into the clutch line. Solution is to keep it very full during the process. Even when it looks full, it will take more fluid. Oh, yeah, I forgot where I saw that from. But yes. I think when I was looking this up, when I did my both the brake fluid flush and the clutch delay valve delete, I saw it somewhere else. So yeah. What you just said is I've seen that somewhere before too. I'm happy that you brought that up because I completely forgot about that. So good point. Global Dusted. Hey, just got here and wanted to stop by and say hi. Haven't watched much of the stream and I don't have many questions to ask, but I'm here anyways. Well, welcome in. Happy to have you here and thanks for saying hello. All right, US Vision. This one's for you. Oh, see, this is perfect. This is exactly why I love having the live streams. That way, if people have other ideas that I forgot or I don't even know, you guys can all communicate together. So I'm happy that you guys are talking with one another. Kenton, best axle back exhaust for low noise but improved performance, 2015 N55 F33. I would say, oh boy, if I were to rank them, I think AWE is probably the best moderator when it comes to noise and like a performance sound. Remus is probably a step down from that. AFE also makes one that could be in that same ballpark. I would say like and that's unfortunate, is the higher the price, usually the better the sound as well as the loudness control. So it modulates both aspects really well, where it gives you a good sounding exhaust, but it's not so loud that it draws unnecessary attention. While the ones that are more budget friendly tend to be pretty loud and attention grabbing. So I would say AWE, Remus, you can look at AFE as well. From what I've heard so far, just in my own research, Miltech can be loud, VRSF can be loud, even Fab Speed can be loud. And I would say like the three brands that I recommended earlier have like a deeper tone to them. The other ones have a higher pitched, raspier noise. So that also plays into a factor as well. US Vision, that clutch delay valve can cause issues. I assume it's in the M2. You know what? Actually, my friends at the shop, they said that they followed my clutch delay valve delete video. It was pretty much the exact same when they saw the video. They said it's almost the exact same even in the G80 M3. Like that whole design and system is pretty consistent throughout the different generations. Stu Moo, thanks for the clarification there. I just don't know how rev hang would cause crunching between gears. I've granny shifted and still had issues. Tried double clutching too, and it's similar. Well, once you do if you do the fluid change and it clears things up, that could be one thing. And then if you find, like I said, if you find any metal in there, that would also be an answer. It's just that clutch delay valve delete. It's finicky, just because it also depends, in my experience, it depends on the G-force on the car, because you're trying to get that much fluid into that tiny hole in order to put pressure to open up the clutch or to function the clutch. And then depending on the G-force, if you're pulling back, then maybe not as much fluid is going to go in there as intended. It's a finicky system. When I did it, I couldn't always get the hiccup to happen. Like when I was making the videos, like even under like conditions that I felt were fairly similar, it's just really finicky. Sometimes it gets in the way. Sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, I can't say for certain if it would work. I just know that in my case, it did help. Usefijum. I still don't like the feel of my shifter. Maybe need to replace bushings. Yeah. If you're there, honestly, if you're already there and you don't have a short shift kit, I would say just do it all at once. Just because you're already under there, you've already moved the shielding for it. Yes, it's going to be a little bit longer than doing just the bushing. But if you're to do a short shift kit, you might as well do the bushing. And it's just kind of the reverse. Stumu. That's what I thought. However, it has no problem staying in gear, and the shifts don't feel spongy. Not a lot of play. I also looked at the transmission mounts, and they're fine. The transmission mounts, honestly, if you are really against NVH, I would say the hardest you should go is the Rogue Engineering mounts. The ECS, even the softer ones, it's pretty rough, but it does dial it in really good. I'm not gonna lie. Like the shifting motion feels really good, but that NVH it's quite a bit. Yeah, I think as far as shifting in gear, I've only had issues with it staying in gear in first. And mine also didn't feel spongy. There wasn't a lot of play, probably because of the short shift kit and all the bushings were poly. And my transmission mounts were upgraded by the time that I did the thing. So I would say our conditions for doing the clutch delay valve delete, they're not exactly the same, but there are some parts that, as far as like why we would want to do it, are in alignment. And like I said, is because it's not necessarily consistent in the issues that it brings up. It could solve it. I just don't know for sure if it would. If you haven't already bought, how do I want to put this? I guess if you're already over 70,000 miles, you could change the fluid. Okay, if you change the fluid, and there's something wrong with the transmission, I would say don't throw all the used fluid away. Because if there's something wrong, like if there's some sort of slipping involved, the metal particles help with the engagement. If you switch it out to all brand new fluid, it would cause additional slipping. So if you plan to do the fluid change, save like 3/4 to a half of it in a clean container. Like if you can catch it in a clean container, that would be the best. And then if your car starts to slip, drain the fluid again and then fill it back up with the old fluid. It's not a permanent fix, but it will hold you off until you can replace the transmission if you really need to at that time. Hopefully it's not that severe. Another option is to do the clutch delay valve delete. Normally, people don't really regret doing it, and it's free. A lot of people online will say like, oh, it's, you can burn out your clutch and all this and that. But if you've been driving stick for a while now, it's not going to be that big of an issue. And I'll tell you this, it's not a night and day difference between how fast the gears grab. I would say anticipate that like when it works perfectly fine, it's going to work like that. but that's how it would work all the time going forward. It's not just like, oh my goodness, it works well today. It's just going to work well every day. Yeah, it's not. If you saw my video or anybody else's video and they say it's like night and day difference, at least not for the F chassis. It's not. It's not a night and day difference. It just gets rid of the kind of like the finicky one-offs or the irritating parts of it. Kenton, about to install Go Fast Bits blow off diverter valve on my N55. Do you have any experience with this? I do not. I would say watch Brian over at Keys Motorsports, and before you attempt this, he recommends a few tools to get. Make sure to get those, because that install is a pain. And if I'm not mistaken, he actually recommends a different blow-off valve, because the Go Fast Bits it's a little bit difficult in the construction and the space that you have to work with, so it can be challenging. I think he recommends another one that's easier to install if you didn't buy it already. That's what I would recommend. Yeah, it's tight. I would say if it really doesn't bother you, just wait to do it until you do a turbo upgrade if you plan to. Otherwise, that thing, it looked like a headache when I saw the video. I was like, I'm not doing that. Yeah, it can be tough though. Just make sure to get the tools that Brian recommends, and you should be okay. Stu, what are some signs of a slipping clutch? I've driven manual for 2 weeks, and this is the first sports car. Oh, okay. It's your first sports car. Now, this kind of changes what I would recommend. Okay, then I would say keep the delay valve in there for just a little bit longer. Okay. If you're new to manual transmission, so by all means, your clutch shouldn't slip right now. Like if it was bad, the metal contaminants that are in there should help it grab. So what I would recommend is just get used to driving manual. And then once you've gotten a grasp of it, then start playing around with it. Some of this stuff could probably just be like you getting used to the clutch, used to the friction zone. And then once you're all there, then I would say start playing around with the delay valve and the fluids and things like that. But just essentially you would have poor engagement. You would know. Basically whatever you're feeling now, you know how it is, like it grabs, like it doesn't feel spongy, it doesn't feel like, basically all of those things like would fall apart if your clutch started to slip. US Vigim, I pumped so much damn fluid through my clutch, it's brand new. Side out. Installed the AFE intake scoop. No Vroom Tuber sticker though. Oh, that's okay, man. Well, I hope that you noticed some improvements as well. That was just like a fun little thing for me. I was playing around with some branding stuff, some logo stuff. I actually don't even think I even have any stickers anymore. But AFE makes good products, so it's not a bad thing to have their brand on there, and I think it's a good bang for the buck. Better than buying a cold air intake, right? US Vision, been driving manual since 1988. Keep that clutch delay valve until you feel comfortable. Okay, right on, man. 1 year before I was born. So you got as much experience as I am old. So if you're concurring what I say, then I guess I'm seconding what your advice is, because I'll take your lead on this one. I mean, when it comes to driving sticks, there's always new things to learn. Like once you feel more comfortable with just regular shifting, like I would say, like when it comes to driving stick, like for anybody who's new, don't try to get too caught up with, rev matching, all of the all of the things that come involved with driving stick, just, I would say, just keep it simple in the very beginning. Like upshifting, try to do it at anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 RPM, depending on how aggressive you want to take it. Once you get familiar with that, you would know kind of at what speed you're supposed to be in what gear. And then from there, if you're exiting a freeway, instead of just braking on down all the way and then going into neutral, try downshifting from 6th to 4th. Like, it's okay to skip gears when you're downshifting. You know, go from 6th to 4th, 5th to 3rd, 4th to 2nd. I would say, like, that's when people are learning, like, that's like the thing after the basic of just upshifting that you would want to play with. And then from there, once you get comfortable downshifting, then you can start rev matching. Just because I don't recommend rev matching when you're downshifting right away, just because you're still getting used to like the feel of the car and how it works. It's fine if you downshift and you don't rev match, so long as you're not like too egregious outside of that range. The car, what you're trying to do is get the car to slow down. And so when you downshift without rev matching, the car definitely does slow down. If you are trying to rev match when you downshift, what you're trying to do is still, yes, you're kind of decelerating the car, but you don't want that. You don't want that bump to stop you. You kind of want a seamless transition. And so if there's a difference between downshifting to slow down and downshifting to speed up. So I would say, like, if you are just learning how to drive stick, learn the downshift to slow down, which is you don't necessarily need to rev shift. You just need to be at the appropriate speed when the time comes. And, you know, it's easy to just like be in 6th and you know you're going to exit, so you let off the gas. And then once you drop down to like 55, you can throw it into 4th. And yes, that will probably swing you into 3.5. But then once those RPMs drop, it's going to help your speed drop. And then once you're right around the 45 to 50 mark, you can push to 3rd. It's going to slow you down again, and then just proceed along the gears like that. Stumu. I'll also add, I've put 1,500 miles on it in my 2 weeks of ownership. Pretty used to the manual transmission. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you feel that comfortable with it, like I said, if you want to, you could always like try to drain the manual, drain the transmission fluid. Like you could remove the plug and then just like still have the plug on and have it drip out some, and then you can like slightly tilt out the plug in order to let some fluid drain, and then screw it back on. Just make sure to be very careful and diligent when you do this, and always have a catch available. And then you can just test that small amount of fluid, and then you can top off with brand new fluid if you need to. That small amount of fluid is just good enough for testing. That won't cause your clutch to slip or anything like that, like we talked about. If your fluid is good, then you could do the clutch delay valve delete. If you feel comfortable. Like I said, it's not life-changing. It's just like, oh, my car feels good today. But with the clutch delay valve delete, it's just going to feel like that all the time. Mustard Flower 45. What are some things I should look for when buying a BMW? Coolant leaks and oil leaks. Depending on which BMW, some areas are more prone to leaking than other, but the Mickey Mouse flange is a common one. If you see like that pooling of like just soot and like dirt in an area, that is evidence of leaking. Anything that's plastic, check that there's no cracking or breaking in that area. And then also a car that has any age on it, look at the tires, and then the tires should let you know, as long as like they're not brand new tires, the tires should let you know whether the car's been in alignment. But also when you're looking at the tires, don't look at like the tires super up close, but also look at it from far. if the wheels are at an angle or anything like that, then that would let you know that either it wasn't aligned properly or maybe that it was used for something else. Like, could have been used for drifting, tracking, things like that. Random vids. Hey bro, I have a question. I have a BMW F30 and need coolant flush. Do I need any special tools to fill it or take the air out? No. If you want, I would say just follow my video for that one, but I would say drain it from the auxiliary radiator behind the passenger side wheel well. It makes for a cleaner flush. And then if you want, just take like regular deionized water and then pour that through through either one of the main coolant lines, or you could do it through the expansion tank. And then if the fluid starts to come out clear, then you're all good, and then you can just go with your regular 50-50 mix and just do the purge process. But just with the purge process, make sure to hook it up with a trickle charger or a tender, and that way you don't drain your battery. I would say my N55 coolant flush, follow those tips, but it's on the passenger side for the N20 and N26 engine. I think the S55, the B48, pretty much everything except for the N55 is on the passenger side. The N55 is the only one that I know that's on the driver side. Soul Slinger, how's it going? Good to see you. Stumu. Also, the car has auto rev match. Oh, the M2s have that. Okay. Well, then I guess you don't have to worry about rev matching then. Oh, I guess it's a nice feature. Oh, I didn't know that. Kenton, is the CSF Performance Cooler Radiator worth the $500 for a daily street non-track use driver? Let me see. CSF Performance Cooler Radiator. Oh, okay, I know which one you're talking about. I would say if you're at, just because of the plastics involved, if you're at 70,000, you can skip. Like, you could do one, maybe two coolant flushes, but maybe on the second or third coolant flush, you might want to think about changing out the radiator, because around that time too, the water pump goes bad, and having the radiator out, one, you're going to be able to get a complete flush of the system. Two, you're going to get rid of the plastics, and three, you're going to have better access to switch out the water pump. It's always better, especially if you're doing it at a regular interval, to change out the water pump prematurely rather than letting it fail on you. You never want your system to overheat. So if you're like at like 140, or like if you're past that and you're about to do a coolant flush anyways, I would say go ahead and do it. Just make sure to grab a water pump as well, just because you would want to do it while you have the extra space. Car stop. Manual driving will be monotonous. Eventually, like when I have to downshift from 6th to 5th, down 2 gears, I can just go by feel. Yeah. Now it, once you get really familiar with it, you don't even look at the speed anymore. You just go off of feel, and then feel, sound. The car usually has enough inputs to let you know what it needs as far as what gear it wants to be in. Exactly. Car stomp hit it right on the head. Hey, Jim. Oh, this one's for you, Stimu. Car stop. Also took my muffler off, LOL. So making your car just a bit louder can help some sound and vibrations. Yeah, the muffler is, I mean, that's why they make the bypass kits to skip it. It's a cheaper alternative, and it is probably one of the loudest alternatives. So if you're not worried about the sound ordinance or anything like that, muffler delete is the way to go. US Fidgem. I'm not used to rev matching. I've rev matched like I've been driving a manual for 2 weeks. Yeah, I think I've only started getting comfortable with rev matching not too long ago too. So I mean, hey, and like I said, driving manual, there's a lot of nuances. There's always something to learn. The best thing that we can do is just be humble, and be willing to learn new things, right? And then there's nothing wrong. Like, it takes some people a little bit longer, some people a little bit more enthusiastic, some people their drives, like, say if you were working for somewhere for like 20 years, 10, 20 years, and your commute never really called for you to rev match, and now that you're retired, you don't drive in as much traffic. So yeah, you're going to be new to rev matching because you never really had to do it before because the situation never really called for it. And so just people's situations change. Random vids. I'm guessing after you drain all coolant, I can just refill it, run water pump while bleeder screws are open. I would just say crack the bleeder screw. Don't completely remove it because otherwise you're going to get a little bit of leaking there. Even with the purge process, you don't need to crack it. I would say just crack the bleeder screw as it's draining. And when coolant leaks out like a river, it means all air is out and I can close the screw top off. Yes. During the drain process, yeah. Yeah, but if you really want to flush, you could do it like that. There's somebody who did an N55 like a pure flush because when they got their car, they had green coolant in there instead of blue. So he did a complete flush to get rid of all the green. I think he had to go through like so many gallons of water. I think for that one, I think he just used regular, like maybe he used deionized water, I forget. But yeah, I would say go ahead and follow that process. Just hook it up so that your battery doesn't drain while you're doing it. Random vids, this one's for you. Okay. Nice. I love that you guys are talking to each other. But Jesus, what's up, bro? Let's go another stream. Right now I think I only have bandwidth for one. Oh my goodness. Thanks for joining us all the way from Canada. I know that our weather is never going to be as cold as yours, but in some parts of California we got some cold, so we're starting to experience what you have to go with just a little bit. Good to see you, man. Random vids. Okay, yep, no problem. Happy to help. Silly Goose, I got a question. I got an N55 oil pressure issue. The light turns on when I'm on freeway. No weird noises or anything. Pull over, turn it off, and the light is off. Then I drive it for 10 minutes again, and it comes back on. Could just be the sensor. The sensor on that one is way easier to replace than the N20. It's just on the top. It's held in by the sensor is connected to a 24 millimeter, I guess like a nut or a bolt. So I would say just disconnect it, and you could just see if that improves things. Other than that, unless your lines are messed up, you shouldn't have any issues with pressure. I would say if you're going to do that, you could also try changing the oil. If you've never changed it before, maybe the person who had the car previously put in the wrong weight of oil. So I would say the cheapest things to do is oil change and the sensor. Especially if it's finicky like that, it could just be the sensor. Doing the sensor change is like, I think, like not even 5 minutes. It's really quick. You could do it in a parking lot if you have a 24 mil. Random vids, this one's for you. Stu Moo. Just wanted to say thank you for all the advice. Have to head out, but I really value everyone pitching in. Have a good evening. Yep. Happy to have you here, Stu Moo. Hope all this helped. Have a good one. Silly Goose. I changed the oil pressure sensor. Drives fine. Just when I'm on freeway going 80, continuous doesn't turn on while I drive in city. Oil pressure. At that high speed. Check the lines that go from the oil cooler down to the oil. Oh my goodness. Check the two lines that go from the oil cooler connected to the oil filter housing gasket that go down to the oil cooler down, and see if you have a leak anywhere there. I'm going to assume that since you're going at that speed and your sensor's already good, something is going on at that point, because that's when it kicks on, is when you're putting more pressure on the system. So check those lines in the front. Maybe you have a leak or something. Yeah. If anyone else can pitch in on this, I haven't experienced this, so I don't really know. I'm just taking a shot in the dark here. Please help out if we can, Silly Goose here. Unless there's a line issue or something. Check if you have any leaks. Check, run the oil lines, and then just check if you have any leaks anywhere. Okay, you recently did the oil change, 10W30. Some people are saying it's the oil filter housing in the cage, but I'm running OEM. I don't think it's the pump. I mean, it could be, but it wouldn't happen only then. $10.30. Well, the 10 weight seems a little thick, but I don't think that's big of an issue. 30 is a little thin. Depends on if you're running tuned or not, but that could be perfectly fine depending on where you live. I don't know. Yeah, this one I'm not going to even try to pretend. I would say just trace the oil lines and see if you have a leak anywhere. That's where I would start. And then I guess start diagnosing, like, as the car heats up and goes faster, what systems activate, what systems tend to be under more pressure, and then that's where you should dial in your focus. Let's see. Marcinik, I hope I'm saying your name right. Hello, greetings from Poland. I dream about M235i for years. Is this a good car for the first car? Of course, I'm going to be biased and say yes. Of course. However, I will control myself, and I'll say, if you're new to BMWs, grab a SULEV engine BMW. I don't know if Poland, they have the same agreement as here in the US, but a SULEV engine, anything's emissions related, is warranted for up to 150,000 miles or 15 years, whatever comes first. So SULEV is good because it gives you that room. If something goes wrong, you have that extended warranty. But the N55 is pretty solid. The M235i, except for the M2, has the strongest N55 engine. And so a lot of the issues that came out with the N54, the N55 remedied. And so it's a very reliable car so long as you stay on top of the maintenance. Silly Goose, I live in Southern California. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Sorry I couldn't help out anymore. Yeah, I mean, I'm in Northern Cal. I run 5W40. And, but that's because I have a tune. So 1030 could be fine. And it's just, it's like you're only going up minimally in weight. And by the time that you're at 80, it's, yeah, the 10 weight wouldn't play that much of a factor. And I would think that a thinner oil would be easier. And if you're not burning oil or anything like that, yeah, I'm sorry, I couldn't be more help. You literally have the setup I want. You have all the tasteful mods thing. Well, thank you. I try to also like do things that I think, like I don't focus as much on the cosmetic mods. It's just like, these things would help with, or it's like it's an add-on. It's like, I'm doing the oil filter housing gasket, so I might as well do the Mossman oil thermostat as well. So I try to get some things that are like, while I'm there, and give some additional benefit. I know that I haven't done an exhaust video. Some people have asked about that. It's just because it's not as practical as I would want. So I'm happy that we have the same tastes. If you do figure out the problem that's going on with your car right now, please share it with me. My social is here. I'd love to hear about it. That way, as you saw with the chat earlier, we had a lot of people helping out. People giving insight that I don't have, and that's what I do really appreciate it. So if you figure out the problem to this, please let me know. I would love to share it. That way we can better serve the community. And I think that is the last one that we have for today. So thank you everybody for coming in. I hope this was helpful for everybody that was here, and good luck with hopefully seeking out brand deals. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you explode in your creative careers, and I'll see you next week.